BDS on defense.
There we are indeed. Finger taken off the board. That seems to become more and more common as we progress throughout this tournament. I think for BDS, this right here is day number 1 and match number 1 for them. I don't think the past matters, and I agree with you, Parker. I don't think what happened the last 2 days have any meaning on the future of BDS. I do think that their statistics and their gameplay and performance will change overnight because now you got all your players. Hibana, second pick on the board, followed up by the Valkyrie. Pretty standard so far, with of course the exception of Finger, but that is one of those new picks that the pick rate has increased so much, and of course when that happens the ban rate will kind of follow along as well because it's such a crucial operator for some teams. Final ban coming out, Mira. That's going to make the top floor bomb site and whatnot, as well as open area, a little bit weaker here on Bank, but basement should still be a stellar one if the teams want to go there. Other than that, we're gonna jump straight into the game. TSM versus BDS. And oh my, I would argue one of the biggest fan-heavy matchups that we have at this tournament. TSM, of course, barely made it to Invitationals, whereas BDS have been kings of the entire region of Europe, almost arguably single-handedly carrying them for quite some time. Too long, if you ask me. And we're gonna go to open area on the very first round. That is where BDS is choosing to start their new reckoning.
An interesting site to go to. Interesting meaning a variety of things depending on how casters want to use it. In this particular instance, open area is not usually one of the most commonly played parts of this map. A lot of teams will go upstairs to the CEO portion. We'll see downstairs as well. Open area does serve a purpose as a tertiary bomb site, but almost never the primary bomb site. BDS said yesterday in their matchup, after they almost beat Dark Zero, by the way, and I had a great tweet ready, and I couldn't say it or send it because it didn't end up happening, but if DZ had a lost yesterday against BDS, I was going to say, Canadian beat a team with their coach playing challenge, impossible. So I want some credit for that because I wasn't able to tweet it yesterday because DZ ended up winning. But because BDS won a map, that gives them a bit of breathing room, frankly. And Alem spoke about it afterwards. I believe it was on Twitter saying that we were playing as if there was an opportunity for us to come back down the road, almost as if they knew that Rafal would be returning to this roster. Now, before you ask, no, we don't know why Rafal didn't play the last 2 days. And as far as I'm aware, that information has not been disclosed. I don't know if it ever will be or who will be the one disclosing it. But for now, there's no real reason to speculate. We don't know. You don't know. Let's leave it that way.
Yeah.
All we know is Rafal is back. Starting on open area is fascinating. And well, what a welcome it is. Welcome back to action. You're the first person to die. TSM charging on in. Shaiko refragging, but Chala has one of his own. Half of the server is dead in the first 45 seconds. And they're going to bulldoze this BDS team in the middle of the bomb site. TSM with the upper hand. 3v2. And they'll settle it down. They got the 3 picks they needed, leaving Renshiro and Shaiko to have to clutch out the round, but Shaiko has both the kills so far for his team.
One explosive start from TSM, basically saying, you know what, we've been waiting quite some time to get into this match, and we now want to catch up on lost time, getting 3 opening kills, and of course, the very first person to fall was Raphael, but Renshiro says, you know what, TSM, slow down real quick, because that's achieved off the board. The holy trio of TSM is achieved Bolo and Merc, and right now, it's only Bolo standing from that trio, but he has Gio on his support.
Well, I'll continue to narrow down the numbers. Renshiro with over 3,000 kills, as was talked about by none other than Jacob on the desk. Hard to imagine amassing that many number of kills. I don't even think you made it to 3,000.
I don't think I did.
They call you Mr. 3000, or they don't, in your case. Because TSM were able to get those early picks, BDS answer back, and you end up with a stalemate in a 2v2. You've still got some utility work, and you'll open up some of that top floor, and now head over to the staff area. Renshiro knows that. Gets swatted away by Bolo. As you said, 1/3 of that holy triumvirate, and leaves Shaiko in a clutch situation. But Shaiko is such a formidable foe. All eyes on him on his team. 1v2, patiently waiting. Inside of open, he can rotate, but there's 2 different areas for him to look at. He'll take some damage through the soft wall, gets swung on by Gio and Bolo. They'll look to coordinate at the same time. Rotate on in, a bit of a distraction. Nice shot onto Gio, and he's got Bolo next, popping up. No, Bolo wins the fight. It's a tense duel, but the goal from TSM was to overrun BDS and not allow them to settle in nor celebrate the return of Rafal. It seemingly works. And on their own map, TSM takes round number 1.
Yeah, you gotta wonder, does the first round matter a lot? Because of course, BDS rather, when you haven't had your 5th in the game, you really want to get that first round celebration, right? Be like, you know what, he's back, we're good, we're gonna start winning now. And TSM, with the early aggression, ended up picking back that round, even though the beginning of it didn't really go into their favor. And in that 1 versus 2 between Gio, Bolo, and then of course Shaco in the middle, it was played quite well. TSM wanted to attack from 2 different fronts, and Shaco managed to isolate Gio, but then of course the standoff between Shaco and Bolo is probably one of the most monumental 1 versus 1s you can have, and this time at least Bolo came out on top, and Shaco, not a player that has to prove himself at all whatsoever, but then again, you always want to show up for the boys when it matters the most. Nice try, but hey, it wasn't enough this time around.
2 of the most prolific players to ever touch the keys here in Rainbow Six in both Bolo and Shaco. Not that this lobby is lacking superstar power, but if you know this game, you probably know Bolo and you certainly know Shaco. So, BDS ultimately unsuccessful on that first round. They get rushed on by TSM, and despite the lull in action, the 1v1 breaks in favor of the North American team. BDS do not want to go back to open area. I think that's sensible.
Yeah.
Instead, they'll head down to the basement. They're bringing in Tachanka. This is not a throw pick, a unique pick. This is very viable, in fact. And with the setup the way they are, those Shumika launchers and the Molotovs that come from the Shumika launcher will be able to bounce out towards the default plant spots that lead from the doorway into server.
Yeah, and to be honest, we often see when people pick up the Tachanka that the Molotovs, they don't really hit the mark. But if there was a player I had to entrust this gadget with, Brit is certainly on that list. And the reason why teams bring the Tachanka combined with the smoke from Raphael is because you're going to have double plant deny. So we can assume here that BDS will play quite passively. They're all inside the basement right now, basically, and they're really playing it slow because it'll all eventually come down to that plant situation. The only roaming player is a Lemon open area, but he has the hatch to fall back, so this is just going to be burning some drones and some time. He's not going to be contesting TSM at all, and there you see. A minute, soft cap, drops instantly. And how many drones did they kill? Let's take a look. They killed a single drone from TSM, so minimal damage has been done, but 1 is better than 0. Of course, we got Merc on that Nuke. That's normally going to allow you to sneak around, and if anything, on this particular round, I would assume you're going to go into Garage. But other than that, of course, Nuke always has a great gun, and we're actually going to see Merc make that rotation right now. He says Garage is where it's at.
I don't know if that cam's been shot out or not, but he'll go through and try to sneak his way in. Meanwhile, you got 2 players from TSM up above, cutting their way through one of those reinforcements, and that hatch will soon go. Chal had gotten the hatch inside a main lobby as well, and now the one in elevator will soon follow. There it is. Renshiro governing the bottom floor through the garage. That's where Merc was attempting to go. He has him on drone, so he knows he's there. This is great intel. But what can you do? If Merc is going to go in by himself, he'll have to win a gunfight against that Alda. Is there any backup present for BDS in that position? No, there isn't. Instead of botched nade from Achieved, almost blows himself up. This one cooked appropriately and it goes on down. So once again, what utility do you miss out on? He spots the Jaeger and will tussle with a Lems who's trapped, but Achieved is committing a series of errors and finally capitalizes off of it. Shaiko is down for the count. Renshiro still inside a garage. Bride falls 2. TSM find 3 kills very early on, and Renshiro's focus is over to the bomb site, where the plant might be going down any second. Bolo shredded through the Alda Geo, doing what he can with that diffuser, and Merc is prone on the ground. He'll see the legs of Renshiro, but the Maestro knows it. Turns around. Rafal with the very first kill of SI for him, but returning to the bomb site, it's Achieved on the hatch, and TSM is up 2-0.
Yeah, if you're BDS in that round, you must be feeling a little bit upset because you held server and you held the garage the entire round. That was the last 2 areas of the map to fall, but then Merc, with the patience, sat outside the garage door on that drone, and the moment the Maestro went off the angle, he came in and flanked it through, and eventually, well, BDS, they fall. good side collapse twice in a row now from TSM, taking the first 2 opening kills and the first 2 opening rounds. They're gonna keep things spicy as they're still showing the nuke from Merc, gonna get 6 picked off onto Sophia for a more standard lineup. And of course, Chala bringing on that North American operator, and I say that because Zero gets brought out so much more in the NAL compared to that of the EUL. TSM in particular, they played on a handful of maps. I think Bank really suits this operator. It's a very big map, there's a lot of big open rooms, and the Zero gadget really gets a lot of value. And you can put information in areas where the regular attack and drones normally cannot reach, kind of like a Valkyrie on attack, if you will, and the value is just monumental. We're going back to open area. So, open, basement, open. We're gonna try one more time, and I think this time BDS will keep in mind that TSM is playing it quite fast for that side take, and they will keep their eyes to stop it in its tracks.
No defense of that upstairs bomb site, by the way. A little bit odd.
Not upstairs at all. Of course, the mirror being banned does play into certain things. I would argue that the mirror is great for top floor and open area, but then again, we have seen open area twice, so maybe the mirror isn't that big of a deal as I think it is. But then again, I haven't played the Bank rework myself in competitive play.
But then again, what do we really know?
Yeah, what do we really know?
There is one thing to keep in mind, and that's teams will deliberately hide certain bomb sites, certain strategies, certain role swaps, and certain maps for events like this. Pocket strats, they'll call them, but you'll also permaban a map, work it into scrims, and then eventually show it up at
so quick here.
One of the biggest events of the year. The one that I always like to reference is that FaZe Clan never played Clubhouse ever, and then they brought it out against Empire and won. Alems is down for the count. Merc walks in and slays immediately one of those proximity mines, proximity launchers, whatever you'd like to call it, from the lifeline gets fired into tellers to see if somebody's there, but because it is proximity, it does not go off. There's nobody home. TSM again with the advantage to start off the round. This is the 3rd in a row. They are 100% on opening duels.
Yeah, and the proximity alarms are also known as beep boops because it's the sound they make once you step within proximity. They go beep boop, beep boop, and therefore you know as a defender, hey, there's someone in that area. Just like Melusi's gadget, the Banshees, they're called whoop whoops because that's the sound that they make. So everything in Rainbow Six Siege is of course based off the sound that they create, and that's how we know them. BDS down a man, but this time it's not Raphael, it is Alems on the Mossy. So the gadget, while it can still catch drones dead in their tracks, it cannot maneuver them around, so wherever they are, they will stay on that grounded area. And BDS, they don't have a whole lot of map control. Raphael is in the basement, but besides that, it's been Shiro, Shigo, and Brit all inside the kitchen bomb site. And with 1 minute and 10 seconds left, TSM really has done a phenomenal job working through the map quickly.
Shigo managed to stave off that initial push from TSM when TSM went for the bull rush strat. Instead, this time around, Shigo will be playing a lot more patiently. 2 minutes off of the clock, only one player has been felled. That's Alems. It died earlier to Merc, as we talked about. Geo will open up the walls leading from Archives towards the bomb site. Not exactly into the bomb site, but through small office. Renshiro firing through the wall now, as that's exactly where the breach has opened up, giving himself maybe a greater line of sight to survey whatever wreckage might be awaiting for him. But there's one tight angle that was being held by TSM before they fall off. MP5 in action to take down achieved. That's Shigo to do that. Numbers even yet again. Shigo loses a lot of HP in the process, and he retreats into the safety of Printer far back. Bolo drops. It's a single bullet to take out Shigo, and there you go. But he's over by the reinforcement, and he gets taken down from the bullet pen of Bolo. Still on the ground doing his best worm impression. Heading over towards Cafeteria. TSM will need to finish this plant, and Geo is just as close to getting it as you can get. Elbow spotted by Bolo, but the calls are being made as TSM looks and misses an opportunity as Rafal goes for cleanup. It's him in a 1v2 with Diffuser planted yet again. TSM's objective play so far has been decently strong. They've either gotten the Diffuser down or tried to get the Diffuser down in every single round. Rafal's return to the bomb site will be greeted eagerly by the 2 players from TSM. He'll have to pick his target priority correctly. On top of that, he has to do it in the next 15 seconds before that Diffuser runs out. He vaults over, but no! Rafal falls through the floor, and by the time he gets back up top into the Diffuser, it will certainly be past the point of no return. He's actually got time. He'll hop on it. All Bolo needs to do is get a single shot in, and it's a mercy killing to give TSM a 3-0 lead.
That's gonna feel good if you're TSM, and honestly, TSM are obviously very well versed when it comes to Bank. Their rotation,
but he couldn't play.
Yeah.
Again, we don't know the reasoning for that. Please, I beg of you. Don't ask us because we can't give you the answer. We just simply don't know. That said, 2 days on a land build, potentially without Rafal scrimming with you. That's tough. You're going to need to settle in, sort out whatever issues you have going on, and there's going to be a bit of rust. Rafal as a player provides structure to the team, but he's not usually topping the scoreboard the way that you will see Alems, Shaiko, potentially even Renshi do that. I like the fact that BDS burned that timeout immediately, but again, every time this happens, I have to say that this is you pulling the ripcord now. You do not have an opportunity to do that later on. Even if you claw back, BDS wins a round or two here. We swap sides. TSM has a 4-2 lead. TSM wins 2 rounds. BDS have no way to slow that down. They just have to sort through their issues and go through the motions in live action and hope that TSM decide to call a timeout at some point where they can finally talk to their team. I'd question the site selection for BDS as they went to open area twice, were wholly unsuccessful at both attempts. Now they'll go upstairs to the CEO bomb site, which is a bit more commonplace on Bank.
Yeah, it is. Without the mirror, of course, gonna be a little bit more difficult, arguably, but Castle being brought out should help with those lines of sight that the attackers can otherwise gain. And again, I would say Bank at this level of play kind of favors attackers, especially when the players and these teams are so good at picking apart the bomb sites. But BDS, they don't really have the work cut out for them. They need to start finding openings because TSM has each and every single opening kill so far on those first 3 maps, and TSM applying pressure from both sides. 2 players on the lobby side of things and 2 players on the open area side of things. Gonna be keeping BDS on their toes, guessing where is the pain going to be coming from. And LM, stuck between both sides, gets found out by Merc. And once again, TSM gets the opening kill 4 times in a row.
There were 4 players by TSM hunting him down. Chala on drone, Achieved and Bolo trying to pinch into open area, and then Merc waiting by small office to do some significant damage. So TSM, they have sharpened their knives and are fully prepared for this matchup. This is the TSM that, despite qualifying at the 11th hour through the NA quals, was the same team that finished 4th last SI last year and was NA's only real hope at winning the event. We'll see what magic they can make up and if they can continue their reign of terror. For BDS, that timeout has certainly settled the team down, but TSM are also taking far more time to drone out the sides of the map that aren't connected to the bomb site. They've got a minute left to pull off and execute as they go on rappel, and they have command of the front lobby of this map.
Yeah, TSM understands that the map control is really king here, and they're just walking on through like they own the place, and honestly, there's 2 sides to that. Sure, TSM's drone work is quite phenomenal so far, but also BDS, besides LM, they aren't really getting out and spreading thin, and sometimes I think spreading thin is good because you gotta stop TSM from gaining what they want, and so far, they've gotten that each and every single round. Now, they're gonna be closing in onto BDS, and you're all going to be isolated in each your own room. But Shaiko, he opens up the kill for his round onto Bolo.
He gets double flashed, but Shaiko still remains in this spot. Merc's 2nd kill, a 3rd kill. The LMG in hand for the Zofia is doing wonders for TSM. As Merc pivots, but Bride smokes him. Very first kill for the UMP in hand. Bride's got 3 more to find. TSM only 1 kill away from a 4-0.
I'll respect it. And to be honest, you have quite the main as well. So if anything...
Lions are number 4.
Okay.
See, I'm a dog guy, but I like the big cats.
All right, Parker. We're gonna continue to the game here. Tech pause has been figured out. We solved each and every single issue. I will just say here, production has been absolutely phenomenal at this event. You know what else has been phenomenal? Not my casting, but the observing that we've had. It makes our job so much easier. It makes it so much more enjoyable to watch at home and across the board. Without the right observers, I really don't think we'd have the right kind of gameplay either, because we can't see the action. So kudos to production, kudos to observers, casters. We can still, we gotta solve it, we gotta work on it. It's an everyday kind of thing. We got a long way to go, but Shaiko, he says, so do you, TSM. Opening kill for the first time in favor of BDS, and now, hey, momentum has been shifted.
3 of the 4 rounds won by TSM thus far, and therefore 3 of the 4 rounds played to this point have been TSM rushing into the building and getting the opening pick. This is the first time that BDS will lead in terms of numbers, and boy oh boy, it comes at a good time. After that tech pause, It might not be a timeout, but you still at least get to settle yourselves down and talk to your teammates and determine exactly what you want to do moving forward. So, TSM, without Achieved, without one of their leaders, it's no secret that Achieved is a pivotal part of this squad. As is Rafal, now taken out by Bolo on main stairs. It was talked about before we went into this event that Merc has taken over primary IGLing duties on TSM. If this is your first time seeing TSM, that might come as a surprise to you. But both Merc and Achieved work in tandem to direct the team forward. And guess what? It's actually been working quite well. Alem's unsuccessful with the Electric Claw. The hatch inside of Elevator gets opened up. With Rafal down and the smoke removed, that means that the denial, which is still very much in play, will now rest on 3 shoulders instead of 4. Bride has access with the Shamika launcher. Renshiro has the Evil Eyes, and Alem's is a Nitro cell. Given the way that plants tend to go on this bomb site, you're going to need to be able to stop it as that rhythm happens with the default plant spot from server door into the bomb site.
Yeah, the big difference this time around is that TSM are actually attacking servers, where last time when BDS defended basement, they held servers successfully. TSM never got there, so a different approach, and now the smoke missing is going to be a massive factor, because now all you have is those Molotovs from Brid and a single C4 from Elem. Other than that, with a minute left, I don't know if it's enough, but if Brid can play this absolutely perfectly, it might just be enough for them.
I don't know if that fire actually reaches the main plant spot. Gio's going to tempt it out, and a little bit of damage done to him, so indeed it does. The first chance that we saw did not look like it connected. The second is good enough. From above, it's Merc, and just like that, TSM will double up. 2 players from BDS falter and fall. Bride left, as Alem's now getting softened up by bullets, and unfortunately, a team kill onto Bride. Unlucky. Alem's from behind the deployable shield. He's nestled inside of lockers, and will have to contest against the 3 players, but the moment he pops up, Chala watching over top of the diffuser being planted by Gio, and it's 5-0 for TSM.
Honestly, the bomb deny worked, even without the smoke, so you have to wonder how could that have gone if all 5 players of BDS were alive. But also, I'm not entirely sure where those picks came from TSM. Sure, there was one nade kill that went out, probably from the hatch or something along those lines, or maybe on the main stairs, but BDS exposed themselves quite a lot when considering they actually had the bomb site under control. TSM was indeed trying to go for that default plant on the breach inside of servers, and Brid had the lineup on lockdown, really making great work of the gadget. And I said earlier, if there was a player I would entrust Tachanka's gadget with, Brid would be on that list. Now, Bolo gets to have fun with the 6-pick. Goes from Ayana off the grenades onto Jackal. He can now scan the feet and see where the enemies are. That's been their main strategy so far, is TSM really playing for those opening picks. They've gotten 4 of the last 5. And of course, Elem, he's been suffering from that side. He's been roaming around the map alone. And this time, he'll have the Oryx available. He can move extremely fast and go from first floor to second floor, etc. But I do think that more so than just the speed, he needs more help from his teammates.
The one thing I will say about BDS is that when things go awry, they blow it up and they try something new. The Mozzie being brought out, the Oryx being brought out. This is a fundamentally different composition from BDS on a 3rd attempt at open area. I haven't really seen anything that's inspired tons of confidence on this bomb site, but I also haven't seen much that inspires tons of confidence from BDS up to this point in the entire match. Yes, they're hitting their shots here and there, but ultimately, TSM has just been a step ahead through and through. I wonder if this changed. The ability to patrol the map much faster and control areas of information, with the Mozzie Pest denying critical drone spots and Alem's being able to maneuver fast around it. This might allow BDS to hold map control longer, which sets up their anchors, who will be playing deep in the bomb site, Rafal and Bride, to simply survive longer and not be trampled underfoot by TSM.
Yeah, this time you have 3 players from BDS roaming together, whereas before it's just LM, so I'm really happy with this change. They're getting active on the map, and look at this. TSM now, minute into the round, they're barely inside the building, but the gunfight still goes in their favor, and LM falls again, and so does Renshi.
Well, not the start that you want. What did I say? Maybe Renshiro and Alem's roaming on these 2 operators, denying intel, and wrong. Wrong on both counts. So, sorry BDS. Sorry EU enjoyers. You're not allowed to have a blast. There is still potential. With Shaiko on the board, you'll hear us say this over and over again. Do not get tired of it, friends, because it comes from a place of truth. With Shaiko on the board, even if it's a 1v5, it is not a certainty that he is going to lose. Even if his stats at this event have not been particularly sharp, once again, they come from 2 matches being played with their coach. This will change the way that BDS has to play around it. After those 2 picks, though, TSM have slowed things down, trying to keep the tempo in their control. They've got tons of time. They've got 6 of their 10 drones at their disposal. They've got full utility. They've got a smoke remaining as well. And given the insistence that TSM has had on objective play, once they can open this up, the focus will be get the diffuser down, play off of that objective. If TSM is successful, it'll be a tough time for BDS to overcome it.
Unfortunately, Shaiko missed the 1 impact, I believe, so the wall might get opened up, but actually I think there's a jammer denying it, so that means no, but Merc says yes, Brit, go down on the ground. That makes this a 5 versus 2, and now BDS, they really have to go nuclear, because with 35 seconds left, TSM has everything working in their favor. They're still gonna take it slow, open up every possible castle barricade, and drone out the remaining players of BDS.
The one thing about Shaiko's position in the back of that staff room is that he was staring at the castle barricade. If he still had an impact available, he used both of them to try to take out the exothermic charges. He could hit that castle barricade and surprise. But no, instead it's going to be TSM to do it for him. All of a sudden, BDS are very much in this. 2 kills to their name. Rafal taking serious damage, Shaiko as well. But Rafal is as good as gone. Gio with diffuser in hand, he plants it. A big round from Merc, a big round from TSM, and a perfect first half. TSM on match point already.
We just saw a pistol fight between a Chief and Shaiko, where both players were both hitting and missing all their bullets. It was mostly going through the wall, so the damage done by the pistol is quite low. Ultimately, a Chief ended up getting the kill, and this is the Sledge change, by the way. Sledge used to have that SMG-11 secondary. No, a Chief did not mess up and pick the pistol. That was a nerf that happened quite some time ago at this point, where basically the SMG-11 was removed from the side of Sledge, and of course, right before that, we also saw Buck lose his grenade and then gain the secondary heartbeat gadget, and then he also has flashbangs. Speaking of Buck, he does not get to see play in this round as Lemsh did hover it, but 6 picks onto the Dokkaebi, whereas Chala goes from one info off pulse to another in Echo. And this again, we spoke about Bank being a very open and big map where information plays a big factor. And seeing as TSM starts in the basement, but they have a castle, a vigil, a Capcan, and an Echo, they are very clearly going to be roaming across the map. I think this is a phenomenal response to how you're gonna play it. 1, with the mirror being banned, but also 2, seeing as how TSM were successfully attacking against a passive setup, I think it makes really good sense to get aggressive yourself and kind of show BDS how it can be done. BDS themselves, however, also bring in the 0, so information will be on their side once they gain the map control, and Lemsh on that Dokkaebi will help them get to that mid-round, hopefully with those phone calls coming through.
Let's do a tale of the tapes for the first half as it's now in the books. Yes, TSM emerge on match point 6-0. 5 of the 6 rounds, TSM got the opening pick. They got the diffuser planted 2 times by my count, but there was 2 more rounds where it seemed like the diffuser got planted, but it's hard to tell because everybody on BDS died right as it was about to get planted. BDS also burned their time out. They played every single bomb site except for Teller's Archives. I wonder if that same flexibility will come in from TSM, but we might not even see it. The first bomb site for TSM is down in the basement. So it's going to be servers, it's going to be lockers, and Merc will play up top. He's doing so on Vigil. Completely silent, sight unseen, inside of the front room.
Yep.
A lot of people call this Trump. What do you call it, by the way?
Well, so we call it Trump, but that particular spot is Falco's spot. Back in year 1 with Jungtis, that's where Falco would always hide. But BDS, they don't seem to want the map control. They just want servers. They got 3 people inside of dirt and 2 guys on square.
Well, there are some of those SAM cams, the Argus cams, by 0, positioned on the top floor to potentially catch someone from TSM who's playing off-site. Merc isn't the only one roaming. Bolo is by his side, or rather, is at his side down below, so they can work together if they so choose. Achieved is not too far off of Bolo as well. That means that control of the bomb site is held by just 2 players on TSM. A tenuous hold on the situation. And if those 2 players get overrun, then the remaining players from TSM will be in a rough spot trying to get back to the bomb site. Merc is still up there, by the way. I don't think he's been discovered just yet, and the call to action will come out at some point, forcing TSM to retreat to the bomb site.
I would have loved if TSM kept the server hatch soft, because that would mean that Merc could impact it if he had one left and basically flank BDS inside of servers. Raphael single-handedly trying to hold the flank both with the cams and his gun, doing a bit of damage, or actually rather, Shaiko took a bit of damage, and this doesn't put BDS in the best of positions.
Nobody from TSM has really lost anything at the moment, as now BDS's focus comes to the top of square stairs. That's Shaiko to walk in, and he's immediately killed by a Capcan trap. That is a beautiful thing to see. Argus launcher deployed and a cam will go out. Bride is tempting fate trying to get this diffuser down. He's inches away and still has the smoke to toss out. 30 seconds remaining. This is not the spot you necessarily want to be in. But TSM's response cannot come with those toxic canisters. A second kill from Bolo as a nitro cell is thrown. But Bolo's down for the count. That's Bride taking matters into his own hands. Alems through the garage. He'll split his way in. Renshiro drops Chio. Damage on T'Challa. He's as good as gone, and suddenly BDS has a numbers advantage. But where are you, Merc? Diffuser being planted by Bride. Merc cannot do anything. What a sloppy final 30 seconds. TSM seemingly had control, and then they lost it. BDS breaks the streak. They take their first round on attack. 5 more to go. If they want to win this, they'll have to do it in overtime.
Merc dropped the hatch, couldn't find Bride as he was inside the smoke. That happens. He got him eventually, or did some damage at least, then got taken down by Renshi on the cover. Then Achieved drops the hatch, practically landing on Bride's head, and gets shot in the back by a secondary pistol. Oh boy. An sloppy early round from BDS. They didn't gain a whole lot of control, but what they did do throughout all that chaos was burning the toxic babes from TSM's defense, and once they ran out, there was no other way for them to clear them out. Yokais were dead, toxic babes were used. The only C4 on the side of TSM was on Bolo, but he was up above roaming, and yes, the C4 did get a kill, but if the plank goes down, that really heavily favors the attackers. So very, very close. Good job as well by Lem, who's now on the board. Pushed up to Garage, got the kill onto Echo on that monitor position. Now TSM will instead say, oh, open area. We're done with basement. We're going to be rotating around the bomb sites because we have so much time to work with, and all we need is 1 round to go in our favor, and then we go to the next map of Oregon. So BDS will need a Hail Mary. They need 5 straight attacking rounds to take us into OT, to then win 2 of the 3 next rounds to win the map.
5 seconds to insertion.
Only a telltale sign of the ACS-12 in the hands of Geometric, not running with the Alda, so instead you have that long-range slug shotgun with a sight that can be used to the advantage of the gun from great distances. This is the 4th time that we will see open area played. It has an exactly 0% success rate for the defenders. That is grim. BDS very quickly are already taking map control. Look at how close they are. Lem's leading the charge up top of blue stairs. He'll go on to drone. There's 2 players from TSM that he could have scouted out. He sees one of them in Bolo. Drone gone, and Bolo now maneuvering towards main lobby. Lem's in hot pursuit. He's got a castle barricade here, and they're just waiting for the call to break into the bomb site. He'll contest against Bolo, but Lems couldn't hit the broadside of a barn through many of these engagements, so I don't know if this is a smart move. You want to use that launcher to take some of the pressure off of the rest of your team, but there you go. Down goes Bolo, so what do I know? 2 kills to Alem's name. He's inside of Archives now, while BDS are spread out all over the map. Some by blue stairs, some at the back of the map, over by square stairs. Still, that castle barricade on the double door leading into staff area persists. TSM are using it to their advantage, and at some point it will eventually fall. There's plenty of explosives from BDS to take care of it.
I mean, we all know that once Elem starts getting active on the scoreboard, that is a bad day to be a TSM fan. And now Merc as well, down on the ground with no one near to save him as of yet. He's 11-5 on that scoreboard. He's going to be bleeding out unless Chala can make his way towards him. Right now, Elem is holding down the angle, so this could very well be a bait. We'll see if Chala takes it. He says right now, you know what, Merc, you're a little bit unsafe, buddy. I don't think it's my time right now, but if we get a kill, perhaps we could try and change that outcome.
You're going to need to do something off of it, lest he's just going to bleed out and die. It certainly seems like the case, as Merc is getting ever closer to chasing that light. Lem's waiting to bait him out, but Chala makes it to him. Finally, an Echo will make an awful lot of noise to get him upright. Both Bolo and Merc combined for 22 kills. Another from Lem's onto Chala. He's looking for kill number 3 now as he breaks the 2 mark. Geo taking some damage. Merc on low HP. BDS in great shape. And they've got plenty of time to work with. First kill for TSM is in Geo's hands. Achieved as above. He takes 1 down, and there's another on Repel. Swinging in. Achieved hears this, and he fires through the wall. But it's very wise of him to disengage. Stay alive for the time being. You've got kill holes in the walls. He'll play around that. Geo takes down Alems, and then is finished off by Bride as Achieved still has the distraction above. Bride with Diffuser in hand. 30 seconds to go. Achieved running, dashing, trying to get back to the bomb site. Renshiro above. Does he know where he is? Taken out by Merc. It's Bride now in a 1v2. He's the Clutch Master Supreme, and he gets 1, but Merc is choking on the shots. 1 HP, and he finally does it. As if there was any debate. Merc with ice in his veins. Takes some more bullets than I'm sure he wanted, Nick, but he still gets it. And in a stunning fashion, TSM topple BDS 7-1 on map 1. Oh boy.